Wizards of the Coast has put out fantastic adventure modules for the 5e lineup, and while they may be grain in scale and may have been written by amazing people, the issue is if you go into it blind, then the adventure may not pan out well. I'm going to go over the 5 things you need to know before running any of the 5e adventures. Number 1, we need to understand what its themes are. When you look at that book, especially when you look at its cover, it probably tells you a little bit about what's going on. We look at Tomb of Annihilation and we can see that it's about maybe some sort of jungle and something scary. We look at Icewind Dale, and guess what? There's ice involved. But more importantly, in its text, we need to figure out what its themes actually are. When we look at Rime of the Frostmaiden, we can see that they're trying to go for a sense of darkness and dread. But then we look at Wild Beyond the Witchlight, and they're going for a more happy-go-lucky style of theme. But here's something very important to note, is that there isn't a single adventure that has the same single theme throughout the entirety of the campaign. Each of the campaigns has mini themes brought up over the course of the adventure. So it's important to look at what part of that theme you actually enjoy, and as you read, you can see that theme continue to persist on for some time. Understanding the themes presented in that adventure module are going to determine what you enjoy about that adventure and what your players are going to enjoy about being ran through it. Number 2, figure out its scope and scale. So once again, looking at the cover of these things, you can quickly determine, oh, it says here it's for levels 1 through 12, levels 1 through 8, levels 1 through 15, etc., etc. But more importantly is the scope of the adventure. And what do I mean by the scope of the adventure? What I mean is, how far are the characters expected to go and how much are they expected to do? In some of the adventure simply falls into the character's lap non-stop. But in other adventures, the player characters have to get invested and go out in order to save the world. Take, for example, Curse of Strahd. In Curse of Strahd, our players are simply allotted into a world, and that is the scope and scale. They are just in this world. But then, for example, we take Storm King's Thunder, and the scope and scale is massive. Our players are zooming around all over the place, going all over the continent, trying to figure out what's going on. Understanding the scope and scale of the adventure is going to greatly determine if our players are going to be interested in exploring this world and doing whatever it takes to fulfill the adventure. Number 3, look at its game mechanics. Now this one may seem a little bit odd. We're picking up a 5e adventure module. Shouldn't it apply to 5e? Yes, but maybe not. Take for example Tomb of Annihilation. That one involves a major hex crawl over a jungle. But the hex crawl has very interesting mechanical implications for 5e. Because in 5e, you get all of your resources back on a long rest. And each day over the course of the adventure, you are getting a long rest. So what does that mean for the mechanics? How does that affect the tone and feel of your game? How does it affect the mechanics of your game? Does it go against what you want, or does it go into what you actually want? Another great example of mechanics dictating the course of the adventure is Waterdeep Dragon Heist. How do you deal with social mechanics in your games? Because Waterdeep Dragon Heist takes place entirely in one big city. So your players are interacting with people all the time. How do you deal with the mechanics of your players being in a city the whole time? Because more often than not, most of these adventures, your players are just going off out into the wilderness. Maybe they don't think about those social mechanics. Understanding what game mechanics you want in your adventure and what mechanics are present in that module are going to greatly determine if you're going to use it wholesale or if you're going to shake things up a bit. Speaking of mechanics, if you are looking for new mechanics such as new feats, new spells, new abilities, new adventures, new monsters, new whatever, then check out No Fun's Guide to Everything, available on my Patreon. For just $5 a month, you will get access to a new zine every single month. And with each month having a different theme, there is going to be a ton of variety in there for all of your needs. If you're looking for a variety of fun bestiaries, if you're looking for new adventures, new mechanics, new whatever, then check out No Fun's Guide to Everything. Number 4, consult with other DMs. Long ago, when you picked up an adventure book, there was no internet, and thus you couldn't consult with anybody. But now guess what? There are whole huge communities full of people that are running the same adventure as you. So utilize that. Join the Discords, join those Reddits, join those Facebook groups, join whatever, and talk to those people. Talk in my Discord, talk in the Discords that are linked down below. Join those communities, ask me, ask other people, because these books are insanely large. It's unreasonable that you should go at this completely alone. Talk to other people and ask them what worked and what didn't work. And most importantly, ask a bunch of people, because one person might give you a biased opinion, but if you ask 10 different people and they have a general consensus on, oh yeah, that one part of the adventure didn't work out well, but oh, that one part of the adventure is great, then you're going to understand what works and what doesn't work. Number 5, know how the PCs fit in. The thing to consider with these adventure modules is that somebody wrote them, and most important of all, they didn't write them for you in particular. They just wrote them for everybody. And of course, there is going to be a whole bunch of writing that is generalized. But when we run these adventures, we want them to be personal. We want our characters to be involved. We want our players to be involved. So figure out how you're going to incorporate the players and the player characters into the adventure. Every single one of those adventure modules has an opening to get our players involved, but think outside of the box. Once again, consult with other DMs and consult with your players how you should incorporate them into the adventure. The more hooked you get your players and the player characters into the adventure, the more they're going to want to see it fulfilled to the end. So that was my list on 5 things you need to know before running one of these adventure modules. There's quite a lot, but once again, just consult with other people. Look to see what you want in an adventure, what you want to see getting out of an adventure, and most important of all, what your players also want in an adventure. Depending on your wants and needs, there's going to be adventures that are better for that than others. Once again, ask me, ask other people about what adventure is going to work well for your table. And for the adventures that don't work incredibly well, hey, maybe you can modify them enough that they fit the bill. So tell me what adventures you want to see ran next. Tell me what adventures you want to see guided next. Go ahead and tell me all those things because I would love to hear it. But that's going to do it for me. Thank you for watching. Thanks for listening. And thank you to my amazing patrons. You guys are absolutely incredible. Thank you so very much. And I cannot wait to see you all in the next one.